Because so many entrepreneurs, they come to me and they're like, you know what? The business is gonna work as soon as I raise some money. It's like, bro, that's not how it works.
What's going on, guys? CEO Kawser here in Dumbo, Brooklyn, New York. We got a very special guest on the show today, Jason. He's a founder and CEO of Popl, $100 million tech company, revolutionizing business cards. Let's check out Popl HQ, get this podcast going.
Hey,
Jason, what's up, my brother?
Good to meet you, man. Come on in. Welcome to Popl, New York.
Wow, this is epic, man.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Let's show you some things here.
Yeah, show me around.
Nice little view of the city.
Wow. This is more than a nice little view, man. Like, this is probably the nicest view I've ever seen.
So this is a financial district, downtown New York. Got the Empire, or the Statue of Liberty.
You got the whole city at your fingertips, man.
Yes, sir.
What a
very,
location.
Very motivating.
Yeah.
We got the Forbes 30 under 30.
Wow.
And then, so we closed a 3-year deals with the Phoenix Suns.
I love this.
They gave us this jersey.
That's epic.
So this is our first ever Popl tag. Just a little white tag, right? Ordered from Amazon. Then you see we iterated over time. So we added a sticker. Then we got the sticker sizing right. And then we made it built into the product. Then we had this nice little epoxy. And then we rebranded it from Ripple to Popl. And now, if you continue this, now we're very QR code based, very SaaS based.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What was the hardest part about starting?
Well, having the confidence to understand that what you're building is going to be something. Yeah. And for us, it was just like, you know, if you're passionate about the project, doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to like overthink about where you're heading. Just take one step at a time, and like that passion will drive you every morning.
That's amazing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Want to get into this pod?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Popl HQ, guys.
Let's
This
go.
is so epic. Welcome to the Beige Moguls show. Today I have a very special friend, my friend Jason Alvarez-Cohen. We're here in Popl HQ, New York City. They just moved in. Time of this video about a week ago.
Yes, sir.
Popl is the modern day digital business card, serving as the official digital business card for NBA teams, Fortune 500 companies, so many other organizations. What started out as humble beginnings, straight out of LA, Jason was able to start and scale Popl to today be a $100 million plus company with over 50 employees working with some of the top brands in the world. I'm honored to have you on the show, brother. Thanks for hopping on.
Great to be here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a beautiful HQ here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
the energy in New York is just electric. So appreciate you inviting me over and having me.
What a timely time to have this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we first met at one of Popl's Tech Week LA events. You had a really sick spot in Beverly Hills too, the HQ. So what's it been like with the transition from LA to New York?
You know, it's definitely takes work and time, and we're still moving boxes around and handling the transition. Yeah. But so far, like, you know, we moved a lot of the founding team out here, and everyone's loving it. This city is electric, and we have so many customers in New York now. So it's a great fit with what we're building and our mission, and so far so good.
And you have a lot of users here, right? Yeah. So you came to the users to be with the people.
Yes. Yeah. They always say, go where your customers are, right? And so we have hotspots of users in LA, New York, Texas, and even like, you know, parts of Chicago.
Wow.
And so we feel like we've done really well in LA. And so we're like, you know what? Let's try a new frontier. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, we got so much to get into, man. I'm just excited to be here. There's a helicopter going on right behind us, but that's New York, right?
Yes, sir.
But I want to take us back to the very beginning. You know, I know a lot of people know you as Forbes 30 under 30, soon to be unicorn founder, successful leader and entrepreneur. But I want to know who Jason is. Take us back to the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Berkeley, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco, so Bay Area. And my parents were both engineers, right? So they were very technical, both very involved at UC Berkeley, right? A great institution. And so I grew up with that influence and that impact of having engineers, very academic, and having just kind of that startup mindset from my father, who has had a couple startups himself.
Wow.
And so I was going through high school, and I was like tinkering and kind of learning about the world. And one of my first favorite little side projects was I was overclocking my Android phone. So my first smartphone ever, I was like a junior in high school. And I had my Android, and I wanted to see if I could make it faster. So I basically, I don't know if you know about jailbreaking iPhones.
Yeah, jailbreaking. Yeah.
Exactly. So I basically jailbroke the Android,
Wow.
which I gotta say is much easier than an iPhone. And so I jailbroke it, and I was like overclocking it to see if I could make it faster. And that was my first interaction with loving technology and experimenting with it. And sure enough, when I ended up getting into UCLA, I knew right away. It's like I want to go down that engineering technical path.
Yeah.
And led me to here today.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I must ask, why not UC Berkeley? Why UCLA?
Yeah, I always get asked this. And it's always the same question.
Yeah.
Too close to home. Like I just didn't, I spent 18 years in Berkeley.
Yeah.
And imagine just like, all right, just spent 18 years here, and now I'm going to go to school in the same place. It just doesn't fit for me. Like I wanted to branch out, I wanted to explore. And so UCLA was perfect because I could stay nice and close to home, right, relatively. But I could still explore a new frontier, a new area. And I loved LA. A couple times I visited, I was like, yo, there's energy here.
Yeah.
There's entrepreneurs, there's people doing things. And so it was a perfect fit for me.
Absolutely, and I talk about this a lot, but it's like, I think everyone has to leave their comfort zone, leave home.
Exactly.
Right? It's like the hero's journey, right? Joseph Campbell, you got to go into the underworld, right? Or into the unknown, the abyss. And that's where you find that limitless growth potential.
They always say that like doing the harder thing or doing the path less traveled and making that choice, that's what really makes you grow as a person. If you stay comfortable, you can stay comfortable, and that's great. But it's like if you want to like really evolve as a human and kind of go to that next level, you got to do something with risk.
Yeah, no risk, no reward, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, man, that's amazing. And so when did you start at UCLA?
So I did UCLA from 2014 to 2018.
Okay, wow, that's awesome. And you majored in computer science?
Computer science.
Okay, awesome. What was it like going to UCLA?
Yeah,
Kid from Berkeley.
I love UCLA.
Yeah.
It was just like a beautiful 4 years, incredible campus, high energy people from all over the United States and world, and very smart. People are there to not only party and experience things, but also they're very academic.
Yeah.
And UCLA's whole mantra is work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
So it's like not only you're going to be working hard, but you're going to also play hard and experience that college life.
Yeah.
And that's really what it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like you maximize your college experience,
Yes.
right? And I think this is the dilemma that a lot of founders get into. Me being a college dropout from Santa Monica College myself, I was on that UCLA or SC trajectory, and I came to a crossroads. I'm like, should I go to college or should I drop out? I took my Business 1 professor out for breakfast.
Nice.
Which is typical of an entrepreneur to do. And
sure.
I asked him, I'm like, hey, I have this startup idea. What do you think I should do? And he was like, hey, this is me talking to you as Paul. That was his first name. Drop out. You can always come back to school and just go for it, right? And at the same time, even though I took his advice, and to me, it was the right advice for myself, I feel like there's a lot of benefits to going to college, right? My wife, she went to Princeton, an Ivy League school, right? And she's with this college dropout. So seeing both perspectives, what is your take on going to college for entrepreneurship success?
I love this topic because I really don't think that there's like one mold that fits all.
Yeah.
Right? I think that you're absolutely right. If you come up with an idea and the timing is right to leave college and explore that idea, absolutely do that. Like going back to what we talked about, it's scary and it's risky, but you know what? That's what makes you grow and evolve as a person. And so that's an example of that. That being said, college is also very powerful for building that career, right? So like if you don't necessarily have that moonshot idea in college and you're able to finish it, that's great as well. I mean, that's what I did, right? And you and I are both doing great things, different paths. And so I never say that like there's one mold that fits all, you got to drop out or you got to finish. It's whatever the timing works out for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you feel like led you to pursue this college degree?
So I was learning computer science, right? And to me, those 4 years of learning CS, which is so relevant to what I wanted to do in tech,
Yeah.
for me, that was like part of the journey. Like I wanted to finish that and really get to a point where I am a master in my craft.
Wow.
So I can hit the ground running
Yeah.
and build a tech company.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
That makes sense. I mean, you literally grew up in the Bay Area, surrounded by tech. Your parents are engineers. You've been jailbreaking or hacking Android phones since you were like 10. Of course, you want to be a computer engineer, right? That's amazing. And so walk me through like the very early days. Like, so tell me, what is Popl, man?
Yeah, so Popl is a digital business card platform, and we provide digital card services to both individuals and companies. And so what is a digital business card? Well, it's like, imagine a paper card, but instead of it being paper, it's digital. So it loads as almost like a link tree in a browser, and that link tree type page is optimized for not only sharing business information, but also collecting it.
Wow.
So it's facilitating an exchange in the professional world.
Wow. That is such an innovative idea.
Thank you.
How did you first come upon this concept?
Yeah, people always ask me this, and they're like, how did you come up with what you are now in those day one times? And it's a fallacy, because day one times, we were not building what we are today.
Yeah.
Right? You go through pivots as a company.
Absolutely.
And it's a healthy way that a company grows.
Yeah, yeah.
Day one, simply what we were interested in doing is creating NFC tags that allow you to share your social media. That was the simplest V1 idea. And essentially, we came across NFC technology, right? Which is what Apple Pay uses, Google Pay.
Yeah.
When you tap to pay, you're using NFC.
So convenient. I use Apple Pay all the time.
Exactly. So we came across NFC in 2019. And the first use case we thought of, me and my co-founder, Nick, living in LA, was we're gonna take tags, we're gonna slap them on the back of phones, and you're gonna be able to tap that tag to someone's phone to share your social media. Whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, phone number, whatever it is, it's gonna allow people like you and me to tap to share. That's what we launched with.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's been so many iterations. I mean, you showed me your roadmap from the very beginning, 2019, to where it is today. The growth you've had is so inspirational, right? And I feel like you've been able to adapt towards emerging marketing needs. So tell me, like, what were some of the biggest challenges early on, right? So you're going to UCLA, you're studying you're studying computer science. What were those early days like when you first came up with that idea?
So yeah, I finished UCLA, and at that point I was like, all right, I'm ready to start something. I'm excited to build something with my own skills. But I needed time to discover what that was. So I actually was at Boeing, aerospace company.
Wow.
I was at Boeing for 8 months.
That's a sweet gig.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was a great career. I was working with really smart people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a very steady company. Like, Boeing's not going anywhere.
No.
And it was a great spot. I was working in 𝐿2 in LA.
Okay.
And
nice.
Many people would have been happy with that. But for me, it was a nice moment in the journey where I realized that I didn't want to be at a company like Boeing. And I wanted to start my own thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of needed that moment to really see that, because I was able to see what it's like to be a software engineer at a company with 200,000 people. And like I said, it was great, but it wasn't for me. And then I wasn't applying my skills that I had just spent 4 years at UCLA learning. I wasn't applying it to exactly what I wanted to do.
You knew that you wanted to go the entrepreneurial route.
Yes.
8 months at Boeing, that sounds like such a short tenure, but I'm sure a lot happened in those 8 months.
For sure.
Yeah.
The key part of that moment was that I had a goal for myself. Like, setting goals for yourself is so key as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I set a goal that I wanted to, before 1 year was up at Boeing, I wanted to have my own company. And setting that goal in my mind was the key to basically unlocking and manifesting this vision of like, all right, let me take baby steps towards that goal.
Wow.
And sure enough, I was staying curious about the world and seeing what I could apply my skills to. And 6 months in, I discovered NFC. And 8 months in, so 2 months after that, I was able to leave. And so I was able to accomplish that goal of 12 months, figuring something out and leaving.
That is fascinating. What's the importance of setting deadlines for yourself as an entrepreneur?
So important, because if you don't, you can just kind of keep going. You can keep coasting, right? It's like there's no set, like, here, at this point, I want to be here.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not hit those deadlines.
Yeah.
But what they do is they allow you to, in your mind, each day you wake up and you're mission driven.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, how am I taking one step closer to reaching this goal before this deadline, can be very powerful.
Absolutely. You know, I feel like you don't really work for anyone, right? You essentially work for your vision, and having tangible milestones with that abstract vision is what allows you to transcend and elevate, right? Yes. And I feel like that's what you did straight out of Boeing. So at what point did you know, like, okay, it's time to leave Boeing? What milestone did you hit with your business?
What's funny is that I wanted to leave somewhat early. Like I was like, I'm ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited about this. We have traction.
Yeah.
We were selling on Shopify at the time.
Nice.
And it was actually Jeremy who you first connected with.
Yeah.
Jeremy, one of our early employees at Popl. He was like, it's not ready. Like you're not ready. We need more time. And basically, because he had been an experienced founder of a couple of his companies before then, and he had the experience of knowing, don't leave too early, right? You don't want to be, as he said, struggling to get Chipotle on a Tuesday, right? Like you don't want to be like building something great, but like your basic needs like food are kind of in question, right? You want to have that stable base.
Yeah.
And so he encouraged me to stay 2-3 more months, which was the right move because, you know, we were able to make significant progress in those 2-3 months and get to a point where we're paying ourselves consistently and not really thinking about, am I going to be able to pay myself for food?
Paying yourself with the business.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. Most founders can't even pay themselves until a few years in.
That's true.
And you're able to do that in a matter of a few months.
Yeah. We raised some like friends and family rounds.
Yeah.
We got my dad, a couple angels that we were friends with. I think we raised a total of $75K. Right?
Wow.
Just to kind of like get some money in the bank off the ground.
Yeah. That's not a whole lot of money to start off with.
Right. But with that initial amount, and then also with the revenue that we were making from the company, we were able to have some consistent payments coming in to us, just so we can live.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were cash flow positive very early on in the company?
I wouldn't say cash flow positive.
Okay.
It was more just like we were reinvesting the money back into the business as much as we could.
Gotcha.
Right? Which is like what you have to do at that point.
But you were generating revenues, right?
Yes.
0 to 1, right? You were able to go 0 to 1. And
the beauty of TikTok.
Yeah. Wow.
We used TikTok to acquire early users for free. We would post these TikTok videos and they would get millions of views, and we would just get all these Shopify sales. And it was awesome. It was like free content that didn't cost us anything to make, and that equated to money in the bank from people seeing our product, buying it on Shopify, and becoming users.
Wow, that's amazing. That I feel like it's there's a common terminology in the startup world, right? It's called growth hacking, right? So you guys found those initial levers to essentially growth hack your way in. A lot of founders early on, and myself, I'm guilty of this. When I first started, I thought I had to throw tons of money at marketing, but it's like, no, you got to do the things that don't scale and that don't require that much capital. So a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm sure they come to you and tell you about crazy idea, but only if they had this much money. What's your take on raising capital as a founder starting out?
So I love this topic, and I think that there's a huge myth out there that entrepreneurs think that, okay, I have an idea and it's gonna work if I raise money, right? Like I need to raise, $500K, 1 million, whatever it is, and once I do that, my idea is gonna take off. I think that this is a huge misconception. Your idea should start off small, and you should start off with some initial customers, and those customers should love what you're building. No matter how much money you've raised, you should have that initial traction where you find something that someone wants, right? And once you have that, keep finding people who are similar that want what you're building. And from there, you're able to prove an idea is a good one.
Yeah.
And also start actually building some initial customers without needing to raise money.
Right, because once you raise that money, you got to deploy it, right? And I feel like that's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand. They'll raise $250,000, $500K before finding that product market fit per se, and then they're burning that right through that money to try to figure out who it is that wants their product, right?
It's very common.
It's very common.
You want to find the customer first, and then once you have that initial idea, then you can start kind of mini scaling with an initial round.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. So tell me about your initial capital raise. I know you raised from some friends and family. Where did the money come from after that?
Yeah, so after the first friends and family round, we got even more traction because we were able to add some things to the Shopify store, start making our product better.
Yeah.
And from there, we caught the attention of 𝐻𝐸𝐿𝐿.
Wow.
𝐻𝐸𝐿𝐿 is one of the most prestigious startup accelerators in the world.
Of course.
Based in Silicon Valley and now San Francisco. And we applied to YC for the first time, and they denied us. Yeah, which is also always like a common thing that I get asked about. And it's common to get denied from YC, right? So many companies apply.
Happened to me. I was literally doing my YC video for my wife's Princeton dorm, ambitiously thinking I'm going to get it, and they're like, oh, denied.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. They like the persistence. So if you get denied once, twice, how many times, apply again. They like that. They like seeing that you have conviction behind your idea, and you're being persistent, and you're going to keep trying. And so sure enough, second time we applied, they sent us a simple email asking some questions after the interview, and we answered those questions. And they said, okay, show us your. It was funny. They asked to show us our bank statements. They said, we want to see your traction.
Okay.
So sure enough, we just sent them our bank statements, and they said, all right, this is impressive. You're in.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you feel the moment you got into YC?
I remember the moment. It was like vivid. We were in our apartment in Brentwood, so in LA. And I remember I saw the email, and I was outside on our balcony. I came in, and Nick was inside, and I just like yelled, we got into YC.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
We were just like celebrating all that weekend. It was a great feeling.
So you get into YC. What was that whole process like with the integration phase?
Yeah, so YC is essentially 3 months of hard focus on building the business, talking to customers, and building something people want, right? And so you meet with group partners in the YC network. Our group partner was Michael 𝐂𝐨𝐻𝐸𝐿, right? And so these are experienced founders who have gotten to the $1 billion stage many times.
Oh, yeah.
Basically taking a look at your company and telling you what to do, right? Here's the customers you have. Here's the vision that you have. Let us help guide you towards the best outcome. And so I like to say that YC is basically a bunch of people who have made it to $1 billion tell you exactly what to do.
Wow.
Which is priceless, right? Like it's such a valuable time. And we were working super hard. We're just like, all right, we're making moves. We're having meetings with the partners. We're also meeting with the other companies in the batch, learning from them.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a collaborative environment.
That's amazing. And was this in person or hybrid?
So we were 2021, right?
Wow.
So this was right during COVID.
That's awesome.
So we were fully remote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. So what do you feel like are the biggest things that you took away from Y Combinator?
Yeah. So the biggest one that is also our favorite is you got to talk to your users. I know it may sound simple, but many entrepreneurs don't do this. Let's say you build Beige Video. Let's use your company for example.
Yeah.
Let's say you have your first 100 customers who they use the product and they enjoyed it. Maybe they didn't enjoy it. You don't know until you talk to them.
Yeah.
So you take up those 100 and you set up Zoom calls with them.
Yeah.
Right? Doing things that don't scale. It's another big YC motto. And so you hop on with these first 100 customers and you say, what did you like about the product? What did you not like about the product? How did you learn about us? Would you recommend us to a friend? And what would take our offering to bring you back again and again? Those questions and answers are so valuable to you at this early stage because once you're able to conquer those, you're going to be able to scale much more easily. Once you talk to those users, first off, take a lot of notes. You're just writing everything down, ingesting it.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've seen this, like you have a meeting and you talk about things and then you don't actually take actions.
Yeah.
You gotta be actionable here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once you get all that feedback, then you internalize it and you consider it against your vision. So here's the vision, here's what the early customers are saying. How do I find that happy middle ground where it's in line with both? Because essentially at the end of the day, you wanna make sure and build something that those customers want. They were drawn to you, there's the interest. And so the more you can build towards building a great solution for them, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And I feel like a lot of founders are sometimes even afraid because they might get negative feedback. How did you navigate
Negative
that?
feedback is great. I know it's counterintuitive, but when you get negative feedback, that like take that as like gold. One, maybe it means you need to pivot. Maybe it's like, okay, we were thinking that this is the right product, but you know what? Now we're learning that this is the right product. And that learning early on is so powerful to make sure you're on the right track. Second, you learn about what sucks about your product. Simple as that. Like what sucks about it, what needs to be improved, and to have someone to give you that honest feedback is powerful, because a lot of people, especially on the journey, they're gonna just shower you with compliments. Oh, you're crushing it. Like, oh, it's so cool. But like getting the real user feedback, take that as gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a book, right? I think it's called Mom's Test. And it's essentially, right, if your mom, like you're not gonna ask your mom what they think of your business, you're gonna wanna ask a real customer.
Exactly, because your mom's just gonna be like, oh, sweetie, you're doing so well.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, ask the real customers, because they're gonna be like, this is what I straight up didn't like.
So what else did you get from Y Combinator?
Yeah, so YC culminates with something called Demo Day. Demo Day is where every company in the batch has 60 seconds to present their company to thousands of investors on a Zoom call, and you call this Demo Day.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like you just spent 3 months working really hard, now it's time to demo to the world. And so sure enough, we hopped on, and you go through every company in the batch, and each company has 60 seconds to explain traction, to explain the vision, and anything that they're excited about, right? And why an investor should invest. So we hopped on, and we were at the Beverly Hills house at this point.
Okay, nice.
And I did this 60-second presentation. And I explained, we had a couple million in revenue at that point, which was rare for YC companies. So we were really proud of that.
You're probably at the top in terms of revenue generated.
It was a range. There were some that were like even higher. There were some that were just starting off.
Yeah.
It was a nice range.
Yeah.
And so we gave our traction. We gave where we're heading. And sure enough, we got a lot of inbound investor interest. And so the next 2 weeks was filled with investor meetings.
Wow.
Because they had saw us on YC, they were interested in learning more. And so I hopped on these investor meetings and gave the vision, right? Talked about our traction, more details, where we're heading. And that allowed us to raise our seed round, right? Because we had just all this inbound, and we were able to have that YC momentum and bring it into our first raise. And very excited to bring on some of our lead investors. And we closed our round in a matter of 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was awesome.
How much did you close for?
We raised $2.5 million.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. And there was an initial investment from YC as well.
Yes. So YC invests a certain amount, and they take a certain percentage, and they become part of your cap table, and they want to help long term. So it's another great piece of the company.
Was it worth their ROI?
Yes. Yeah. I always get that asked. Like, is it worth I believe it's 7% that they take from companies.
Sizable amount.
Yeah, it's sizable. But I will say it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
The advice and the advisorship that they provide, even after the batch, is
I can imagine.
invaluable.
Yeah, I noticed on your social media you're going to different YC events even these days. So
it's such a community.
Yeah.
If you're in the YC network, you have this family of people who are just like you, working hard on weekends all the time.
Yeah. And
it helps you feel less alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Talking about community and just the journey, right? Let's get into some of the challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced as the founder of such a hyper-growth startup?
Yeah. Some of our favorite challenges to talk about is having to evolve as a company.
Yeah.
And I mean specifically pivots, right? What we created at the beginning and what did really well on TikTok isn't what we are today.
Yeah.
And if we had tried to continue just building the same thing, I don't think we would be where we are. And so throughout that journey, you have to constantly be evolving, looking for new trends, looking for new technology, and understanding where your market is heading. And so some of my favorite moments, first one being moving from a social media consumer app that was like a TikTok star to being a digital business card. That was the first big pivot, where it's like, okay, maybe instead of focusing on kind of teenagers sharing their Snapchat, Instagram. Instead, we're going to focus on being a digital business card for professionals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So sharing business information as opposed to personal social media.
Yeah.
That was our first big pivot. The second one was moving from hardware to being more of a software-based SaaS platform, right? And so that's like, instead of selling all these hardware devices and having to ship it out to customers, we instead make a mobile app that's downloadable instantly for free.
Yeah,
right?
It's a great app, by the way. I love the UI.
Thank you.
UX.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so we built the mobile app, and we built our first subscription, Popl Pro. And so that was our first pivot from being this hardware-based product to being much more of a MRR subscription-based business. And so that was our second big pivot.
Wow.
Right? And that was a big one because it allowed us to build a much more sustainable business. Right?
Yeah.
You can sell hardware online, but it's like those months are ups and downs.
Yeah.
Right? A Christmas month is high because everyone's buying gifts, but then maybe January is like much lower because it's like there's less interest to buy products.
Right.
So it's less of a forecastable business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. And even at Beige, that's something that we're figuring out even today, because where we're making the most return on our ad spend and our marketing efforts are those MRR contracts, right? We have Carrot, for example, one of our big MRR contracts, but a lot of the shoots that we do are one-off, and it's so difficult constantly having to grind and have our sales team push to acquire new users and new customers, right? So I think that's amazing how you've pivoted. A lot of entrepreneurs feel like they're a failure if they try something out and it doesn't work out. How did you feel about the pivots that you had to make?
Yeah, it's a great concept. Pivots can be scary, right? You're changing who you're focusing on, you're changing what your product is, and it almost feels like you, in a way, are starting over.
Yeah.
But I just want to reiterate that like pivots are so healthy. It is just part of the startup journey. And some of the biggest companies in the world have pivoted. Brex, one of the biggest financial companies for startups. Are you familiar with Brex?
Oh yeah.
Brex started off as like a VR company, and they pivoted.
Wow.
Completely pivoted. Look at like Stripe. Stripe pivoted. You look at like Airbnb, going from one idea to another.
Yeah.
These companies, you may have not known about their pivots because it was more early stages.
Yeah. No.
But they tried different things until they found and they struck gold. And that should be seen as an awesome part of the journey, not a failure.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost feels like a marathon, right? You're not going to run all 26 or so miles at the same pace, the same speed. But all that matters is that you fuel yourself, pause as needed, but that you keep going and that you finish until you discover product market fit.
It is such a marathon. And as long as you're just getting a little bit better every day, maybe you're building a little bit more, maybe you're hiring someone, as long as you make progress every day, before you know it, you're going to be very proud of what you built.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You should be proud of what you built.
Thank
you.
I'm
sure you are. Yeah. So what are some of the other challenges that you were faced with early on?
Yeah, so we decided to go the track of being a remote company.
Yeah.
Meaning that instead of us having our employees come into an office every day, we decided to be remote in that you can work from home no matter where you are and still be a full-time employee with us, right? Companies during COVID were very remote heavy, and many of them went back to in-person.
Yeah.
But we loved it, right? We were like, this is awesome. The fact that someone could be in Texas, super talented, and can still be a part of our family that's based in LA or New York.
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest challenges I like to talk about is how do you build that company and keep everyone in check, even though they're spread out around the United States?
Yeah, you got to give me the game, man. Now, we got Beige, we got about 40 people,
Amazing.
Not just domestically, but internationally too, right? So how do you, one, maintain that accountability, but then two, build that culture?
Yeah. So the first one, accountability. This is one of my favorite concepts. You have to make sure that every one of your company, no matter what position they are, has clear KPIs. A KPI is a key performance indicator. So it's a stat or it's a goal that basically tells that employee, whether they're being successful or they're not hitting their mark. For example, let's take an account executive. Account executive, their job is to get more sales, to get more accounts, close more deals, right? If you give an account executive a quota, it's giving them a set line of you should be closing this much revenue every month or quarter. And that is a KPI. And when you give a member of your team a clear KPI, they can be living in Bali if they want. But as long as they have that clear KPI, they know what they need to do to be successful at your company. And so that's what we've been able to do at scale, is give clear KPIs to everyone at the company, and it allows them to be remote, but to understand if they're doing well or they're not.
Wow.
Makes things nice and simple.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then once you get that down, how do you foster the unique culture of Popl?
So with us being remote and everyone's living in their own home, it's important to find time to still bring people together. Because if you're just working for someone or working with someone and you're just like over Slack, hard to stay very connected.
Yeah, it's hard to humanize.
Exactly. And so what we do is a combination of, first off, stand-ups. A stand-up is a meeting where you hop on a Zoom call with your department. And we always do, for every stand-up, camera on. Got to have camera on. You can't have camera off. You can't be like, muted, camera off in your room.
Yeah.
You got to be camera on, engaged. And what that does is it makes sure that you're when you join team meetings, you're connecting.
Yeah.
Right? You're seeing that person face to face. You're putting a face to the Slack message.
Yeah.
And so we have these stand-ups for most departments daily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're constantly seeing your team. On top of that, we do fun team events. So we have every month, we have a team dinner where the company brings out the team, whoever's in town, and basically, pays for a dinner for everyone to enjoy and meet each other and just spend time.
Yeah, I love that.
So we do that once a month, so nice and consistent. And then we also do 2 retreats a year. We call them Pop Treats, as
Pop
like a
treats.
branded,
I love that.
So we do 2 Pop Treats, and we're about to do our next one in September.
Okay.
And so the whole team comes out to that, everything paid. We always do an all-inclusive resort, and we do team bonding events. We do breakout meetings. We do nice beach days, etc. And it gets everyone excited to just spend time together.
That's amazing, man. Wow. I must say, man, you're such an amazing CEO. You're definitely someone that entrepreneurs as myself want to model after, right? And I feel like you are the true definition of what I determine as a mogul, right? So on the Beige Mogul show, we always like to ask, what's your definition of a mogul, Jason?
Yeah, so I think that a mogul is a person who has a passion, who has identified that passion, and has spent a good amount of their life mastering that passion. So mastering a craft in some vertical. And I think that if you find that passion and you spend time and working at it, and you either build a company or you build a business or you build a team, and you've really just attacked that passion and mastered it, that makes you a mogul.
I would say you're quite the mogul yourself. What do you feel like are the biggest attributes that have helped you become the mogul that you are today?
Well, so identifying early on what I'm passionate about, right? That's key. And I know it's sometimes hard to find that passion as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so I always tell entrepreneurs to stay curious. As you're going about your day, take a look at things and think about what draws your attention. It could be anything, right?
Yeah.
And if something is particularly interesting to you, explore it, research it, learn about it, and sure enough, you in a couple months, maybe years, you might have a business that's in that vertical. And so for me, discovering that connecting with others, which is what Popl is at the core.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That is something that I'm very passionate about, and facilitating that connection. And so going to UCLA and studying computer science and spending years working on that craft of software engineering and being able to build towards that passion, that's why, in my eyes, that is what makes someone like myself a mogul, because I've identified the passion, I built towards it, and now I have this company that's adding value to the world in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. What type of numbers are you doing, man? I must ask, if you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, so we have hit over 8 figures of annual revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, which means that each year, because of our subscriptions, the business pulls in 8 figures of revenue, and we're able to forecast that because of the subscription model of the company.
Predictable revenue. That's another great book.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. And you've been able to achieve this with just $3 million raised cumulatively?
Correct.
Wow. Do you know how rare that is? Like, to only do that with $3 million and retain equity versus selling more? Wow, that's amazing.
The bootstrapping path.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
You don't raise as much, you retain more of your company, and you focus on profitability as opposed to raising a ton of money and just kind of spending it all, being a high burn company. So different paths.
I feel Beige is in a similar position to where we're building a marketplace, right, for videographers and photographers to essentially connect the two. Beige is an on-demand marketplace that connects users with videographers and photographers all over the country. So let's say you wanted to set up this podcast at Popl, New York HQ with me. You can book Dan on our Beige app, seamlessly book the shoot,
cool.
Takes care of all of the logistics. And for us, we're a cash-rich business because, obviously we're selling a higher ticket product. But I think our biggest challenge essentially has been to pivot from what once started out as a service-based business with just a simple landing page to now us finally launching our technology. So what advice would you have for founders as myself that start off validating their product or the demand for their product with a service or some sort of offering that want to then pivot into tech, which I think you've done a phenomenal job at, from going from hardware to software?
Yeah. First off, I just want to say, I think Beige is a winner. I love the idea. As someone who has a bunch of friends who are creatives, and they're photographers, they're script writers, they're writers, whether it's blog posts, etc. They love their craft, right? Which is like they're on the first step of being that mogul, right? They love their craft, but they always struggle to find enough jobs, enough volume to fill their full-time day, right? And so if you're able to build a platform that allows those people who love what they're doing, but they just need more business, to be connected directly with buyers who want those services, that is magical. And I think that there is a huge potential for your business. Just want to start by saying.
Man, that means the world to me. Coming from a mogul like yourself, it's been a grind, but this year we're finally on track to break $3 million in annual revenue. Thank you, man. Thank you.
That's no easy feat. That's impressive.
Yeah. No funding, just leveraged like a $100K business loan well into the path. But it hasn't been a straight path, man. And that's what makes me emotional all the time, right? Yeah. Because it's lonely when you're just starting out, but then when you're in this $5 million HQ penthouse, it's also lonely because it's very few people that stick with you, right?
It's true.
Through that journey.
Especially as a founder, your friends are naturally you're not gonna be able to have as many friends. Like, when I was in college and I was just like, meeting so many people and loving life and just really focused on that, you have like a much bigger circle, right? But as you build companies like Beige and you spend so much time just on the grind, your circle naturally gets smaller, and that's okay. Yeah, you're on a mission.
100%, and that's why it's so refreshing to meet other amazing entrepreneurs that are killing it as yourself.
Thank you.
So I just want to thank you, man, like heart to heart, for the support. Like, the way we met was, I pulled up to one of your events that you're having for LA Tech Week. I think I mentioned this earlier when we were talking, and I just went up to you. Like, the people that I was supposed to be there with, they had to leave early. So I was at this event at your HQ in Beverly Hills all by myself, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be bold and audacious, and I'm going to go for it.
I love that. I actually remember that vividly, the moment we met. And I remember you coming up to me and just being like, hey, I need to meet you. I heard so much about the company, and I really respected that, because like it takes guts to go up to someone that you want to meet and just kind of like introduce yourself and enter the world. And so when I see entrepreneurs do that and they go to their, whether it's like a Mark Benioff at Salesforce or it's the CEO of NVIDIA, I hear these stories of entrepreneurs, they just go up to them and they just like, they either pitch something or they like ask them a deep question. And those are the moments that really make you as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So I really respected that.
Absolutely. You know, what gave me the validation that I needed the most early on was, you know, my wife, she used to be at DoorDash, strategy and ops, and we were at DoorDash LA HQ for like a company anniversary event. And that day, 𝐂𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐬, co-founder of DoorDash, happened to be there. It was his first LA office visit. I didn't even work at the company, right? But I'm sure you've heard of the book, The Third Door. Yeah. So I found a third door through my wife. She literally pulls me over to 𝐂𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐬, and she's like, hey, this is my husband. He's also building a startup. This dude literally knew that I was in his office, not being a DoorDash employee, but he still showed me so much support. And he gave me the inspiration and the key advice to take Beige and scale it. So
cool. That's a great partner right there. Yeah, Nafisa behind the camera. That's a great partner.
Hand. Yeah, shout out to you.
When you find someone who like makes you better, and is able to like be supportive and open new doors for you, that's a dynamic duo.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, she brings out the best of me. But going back to, you know, I'm going to ask you some like personal level, you know, applicable advice. How do startup founders successfully pivot? I feel like you've been able to do that really well, integrating so much tech into your business, pivoting from hardware to software.
Yeah.
How can you pivot so seamlessly?
Yeah, so another YC advice is do things that don't scale, right? And so I feel like you at Beige, for example, you started off with doing things that don't scale, right? Like you started off with doing things more manually and being less of a marketplace, being more of like a one-off, right? Create shoots, find the buyer, the supplier. And so once you identify something that works, then you want to pivot in such a way that can make it more scalable, right? And so in your case, building that marketplace where instead of you doing these manual steps, someone can just open up an app and do the whole process automatically, right? And so for us, it was similar. It was like, okay, we have this hardware, but we want this to be more scalable, something that you can just download and start using immediately. And so moving from the NFC to more of a QR code based sharing, right, where you can open up an app, show someone the QR code, and they can scan it. You don't need to order something in the mail. You don't need to wait for it to arrive. You don't need to design something. Make it all like, you know, you can just, you know, download an app and start sharing immediately. And for us, that was a nice unlock to moving from this kind of like hardware-based model to much more of a scalable SaaS model.
Yeah. And you've acquired some of the biggest clients that anyone can get. So that must have been really nice.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Right? We another big pivot is moving from individuals like you and I to companies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that was another huge unlock where we realized that, you know what, this is a need for the company level too, where a company will sign on with us and say, we want to set up 500 digital cards and we want you to manage all of them, right? And so that's, instead of going one by one to the consumers, it's going to more the B2B route, more the business route. And so now we have mostly companies signing up and setting up cards for all their employees.
Yeah.
And having that little pivot and understanding is part of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's amazing that you have been able to pivot so successfully. How do you feel about founders that are on the verge of burnout, and how do you stay so energetic all the time?
It's a common one, right? You feel alone. Oftentimes no one believes in your idea, and you just like feel kind of like overworked, and you've just been working so hard on the grind. It can be tough and lonely, but what I like to always go back to is, if you're passionate about something, look at it as not a grind. Look at it as part of the journey. And it's almost like a mindset shift, right? And have excitement for the times that where it's not working. Because when it is working, you're gonna look back and you're gonna see, wow, like there was that moment where I was just like, I felt defeated and overworked, and just understanding that, like, you know what, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
And some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world were right where you are. It helps keep you motivated. Additionally, to handle that burnout, it's important to take breaks, right? Like take a weekend, take some time off, rethink, get creative about ideas.
Yeah.
And take some time, because you're right, it is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to take some time off and really become healthy again. Go to the gym, spend time with family.
Yeah.
Meet with friends and talk about new ideas. Take that time. And then when you're ready, go right back into it. But understand that like it's part of the journey. And like if you're not where you want to be yet, just be grateful that you are excited enough to work on something.
Yeah.
And one day you'll wake up and be where you want to be.
Yeah, 100%. And then you'll want more, right? And the journey continues, right?
Exactly.
So it's a process.
But just appreciating the journey and not being like, oh, I need $100 million in the bank and I want a mansion.
Yeah.
If you're always thinking about that,
yeah,
and just like I'm not going to be happy till I get there, that's a tough way to live.
Yeah.
You want to be happy during this path.
Yeah.
Be happy with this, and then like eventually you'll be there. And then you'll just have this entire journey where you were just excited along the way.
Yeah, 100%. Even now, right? I mean, Beige is nowhere near on the level that Popl is at today. But, with the amount of success that we've had now, I'm like, man, like, it gets boring sometimes, because I'm not struggling in the ways that I struggled, let's say, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, right? When, for example, Dan and I connected on a trip to Chicago, and it was literally me managing every single shoot that came in, doing everything from customer acquisition to project management to post-production.
Like those were the days.
Those were the days, right? But now it's like I have the privilege of being more hands-off, but it can get boring sometimes, And so I think it's very important for founders to stay connected.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's like a lot of founders, they think, oh, I'm going to delegate everything, and then I'm going to be just kind of like overseeing it. And they don't realize that like sometimes when that happens, you kind of lose that fire. It's like, oh, I don't even feel like I'm in the business as much anymore. And I really enjoy those early days where the electricity was high and the energy.
Yeah.
And so it's important to stay connected to your business. And like for you, right, now that you have more things delegated, think about how you can keep that passion and excitement going. Yeah. I'm sure there's new things you can discover that'll take you even further.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I asked Tony Zhu to come on as an advisor. Like I emailed him.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly, he responded in like 24 hours. And he was like, hey, 𝐂𝐨𝐲𝐢𝐬𝐬, I remember you. Hope everything's well with Beige. Sorry, but I can't commit to this right now. I'm busy building DoorDash. But follow up with me in the future.
It's fair.
Hey, you never know. You know what I mean? Like,
what you should do, and we might want to include this.
Yeah, okay.
Is, because I love that you did that. Like cold emailing.
Cold emailing.
I guess for you it's not like cold because you have the connection.
Yeah, it was still kind of cold. It's like,
but emailing people and just asking. I love the power of emailing and asking for what you want. A lot of founders or entrepreneurs, they psych themselves out. They say, oh, this person's not going to respond.
Yeah.
Or they say, no, they're going to say no. That's you in your head. Like basically being a blocker for what you want. Send that email. Ask for what you want. Because if you do, let's say that they don't respond or they say no, you're right back to where you were if you didn't ask at all.
Yeah.
Let's say they say yes, right? That's a huge win. So it's only a net positive that can come out from doing something like that. And so you emailing the CEO of DoorDash and asking him to be an advisor, I love that because let's say, sure, what did he say? He said...
he's busy building DoorDash, but he
fair.
Consider in the future.
Yeah. So what you should do is, great, he knows who you are, you're on his radar, and so as you progress and hit milestones for Beige, hit him with a little drip campaign. Say like, hey, what was his name?
Tony.
Hey, Tony, just letting you know, we just hit this milestone. Hope all is well. Hey, Tony, a couple months pass by. Hey, Tony, we just finished this. Hope all is well, just keeping you in the loop. Keep doing that. He's going to like the persistence. And as you progress, he's going to see that progress. And then at that later date, he's going to be like, here's an angel investment of $50K, whatever it is. But having that initial foot in the door and keeping him nice and up to date on your progress,
it's everything.
Is key.
Yeah, 100%. And, I've noticed that even with my influencer connections, right? One of my friends, he's a pretty established West Coast rapper. He goes by 𝐂𝐨𝐲𝐢𝐬𝐿.
Oh yeah, love 𝐂𝐨𝐲𝐢𝐬𝐿.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. We're very close. And so yesterday, Dom Kennedy was performing here in Sony. And I FaceTime Casey. I'm like, yo, I'm pulling up to the Dom Kennedy show with my wife. Get us backstage. I want to do some business with Dom.
Legit.
Rest assured, he makes one phone call. We go backstage.
The beauty of a network.
And Dom literally shows us so much love. Connect with him and his manager, and I might bring him on like as an ambassador for Beige, right? So it's just like asking, and you shall receive.
Asking. So powerful.
Yeah.
Don't psych yourself out. Just try it, and you'll be surprised with how much you can accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely.
People want to help other people.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you sure want to help so many people. You know, I literally booked time on your calendar. First thing you asked was like, how can I help and what can I do? And here we are now, right? So, awesome. What are some other quick tips or advice you would have for me as I scale as an early stage founder for Beige?
Yeah, so understanding that right now a lot of your stuff's more manual and you're handling these bookings and they're one-off bookings, right? So you find the creative, you find the person who wants the service, they find each other on your platform, and it's a one-off.
Yeah.
Right? My advice to you is to figure out a way to make this a recurring subscription. How can you lock in either the creative or the buyer in a more subscription-based contract, or I guess just a subscription for consumers?
Yeah.
In such a way where they can pay you monthly or yearly. That is where you can become a much more powerful business because of the recurring revenue. And so think about like what value each of those parties is getting, and just think about ways to basically say, all right, sign up for this membership, and you get that value again and again. That's key.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing advice. Thank you so much for that. Man, so I couldn't deny or miss that Forbes 30 Under 30 poster in your living room. What was it like?
Yeah, so I mean, we got 30 Under 30 in 2021. And I love the community because it's movers and shakers.
Yeah.
All different industries. You got tech, you got people in business, you got people in climate, people who are just changing the world one way or another, getting accepted to 30 Under 30 and becoming part of this community. And so far, I've loved it. Right? Our PR firm submitted us back in the day. They said, here's COVID, here's pandemic that's happening. Here's two entrepreneurs who are hungry to create a product that allows people to share in a contactless way. And sure enough, because of our initial traction and growth speed, we got in 2021. And so I always recommend to founders to apply to things like 30 Under 30 because it helps your brand, it helps you get connections, and it helps you, like we talked about earlier, find a community of people who are just as determined as you to change the world.
Yeah, I think it's so important to find like-minded people on a similar mission and a path. That's like one of my dreams to hop on 30 Under 30.
You got this.
Yeah. So definitely want to follow in your footsteps. But
and I'm happy to be a referral. Just let me know.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So I know you have this new HQ in New York City. What do you think are the key differences being in New York versus being in Southern California?
Yeah, so first off, the reason why we moved to New York is to be closer to a lot of where our customers are. So as we've moved to more of a professional company focused on businesses as opposed to individuals, we've seen a hotspot of customers in New York, especially some of our bigger customers.
Oh, yeah.
And so moving to where more of those customers are is a great way to, one, be more connected with them, two, learn more from them and just kind of like spend more time in research and development.
Yeah.
And then three, just like try something new.
Yeah.
We feel like we did LA.
Yeah.
We were there for four years and
Yeah.
really loved it. But LA is more focused on, the creatives, the music industry, the movie, the entertainment. And for us, we just had more customers gravitate towards more of the banking, finance sort of side of things. And hence why we're excited to be here.
That's amazing, man. It's quite the HQ. Really enjoyed having our podcast here. It's Epic Vibes, man. So congrats on amazing
what a
HQ.
spot, right?
Yeah.
So motivating.
Yeah. Another topic I want to touch up on quickly is, a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm a solo founder. I've had some amazing teammates come and go throughout the journey, but how important do you think a co-founder is in a successful business?
You can build a successful business by yourself. You really can. But I gotta tell you, if you're gonna try and be a solo founder, it's gonna be a harder path. You gotta handle more things. You gotta wear more hats. You don't have that person by your side who's giving you that encouragement, that person to have energy and grow off of. And so finding a co-founder is very powerful. And I'm very bullish on the fact that to find a great co-founder, a lot of times it's going to be a friend before you even started the company. So someone who is in your life, who you already trust, who you've already spent time with, and know that you work well with. And so those best friends can turn into great co-founders. Wow. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Yeah. Well, I'm on the search right now for my CTO, so you know anybody?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to make some intros.
Yeah.
But in your case, for finding a CTO, the best place to look is, first off, your first connection of friends. So, you know, one degree away from you.
Okay.
That are your friends.
Yeah.
Let's say none of them are able to do a CTO role. Have them ask their friends. So ask for like an intro to mutual friends.
Yeah.
Mutual friends are so powerful, and it's still a big way that we hire today.
Wow.
For various roles.
Yeah.
And so whether it's an Instagram post, like a story or something, just throw something up and say, hey, friends, like I need you guys, like if you have anyone in your network who is interested in joining this awesome mission and being an early tech CTO here, then, you know, set up an intro.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised by how much your network, which is very powerful, will be like, hey, Kawser, like I have, you know, this guy or this guy.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you're on a meeting.
Yeah. What qualities do you look in co-founder?
Longevity.
Longevity.
Right. You want someone who really is passionate about your mission and is ready to be there next to you through the ups and downs for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone that you work well with, is excited about the mission and has that longevity. And of course, the experience. Like you want someone who has the knowledge and the skills to really do that role well.
Yeah. How important would you say self-management is in being a founder, right? I'm sure there's so many distractions, especially at each stage of the journey, right? Especially when you're ultra successful at such a young age, right? There's that temptation to go out and buy that yacht, or to only fly private, to get the Lamborghini. I mean, I'm tempted all the time.
Yeah.
How do you manage yourself, and then how do you manage your finances as a founder?
Yeah. So it's a great part of the journey, right? The excitement and the opportunities that open up. And I always say that you got to say more no's than yes. When you get invited to all these things, you gotta look at your time as a finite resource. And so you can't really say yes to every event, every like meetup, every like, oh, come to this party. You gotta be somewhat locked in. Enjoy a little bit, like everything in moderation, but you're gonna have to say no a good amount of times to stay on track.
Yeah.
And so when you're on that journey and you want to know, okay, like, how do I know if I'm on the right track? How do I know I'm not spending too much extravagant things? It's important to be mission driven. If you truly have a mission and you're like my goal of leaving Boeing in a year, that was my goal.
Yeah.
If you have a goal of, I want to build a $1 million company by this year, and I want it to add value to this many users, set that hard goal. And then as you're on the journey, if you get invited to these things, you can just kind of compare it to your goal. Hey, am I on track? If so, then okay, maybe I can take this time off. If not, stay locked in.
Revisit the goal. Yeah,
exactly.
100%. I mean, I literally got invited to Europe next week, but I'm like, I got to get back to work. You know?
Yeah, it's like going to Europe for a week. That's a lot of your time.
Yeah,
your time's finite.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is probably the most important question I've been dying to find out. Jason, do you work 7 days a week?
Of course. Of course. Every entrepreneur does. And if you see it as like a 9 to 5 with weekends, you're gonna get passed by your peers who are just in it every day a week, nonstop.
Yeah.
And so a common thing and mindset that I like to portray and tell to other entrepreneurs is look at every day as if it's the same. Saturday versus a Monday, it's all the same. And that's what it takes to build something great. And there's different paths in life. Some people are excited for that more routine where it's like I have a 9 to 5 on the weekdays and then I have time to enjoy life on the weekends. Nothing wrong with that. But the entrepreneur path is different in that every day you're grinding.
100%. I mean, you're looking at 80 to 100 hours, but, big proponent of, I think, that stability is integration, right? How can you integrate and make time for your significant other or your friends, your family, your health, right? While you're still on that journey. And that's where I guess, the answer to my earlier question is how to avoid burnout, understanding that it is that marathon, right? And you got to enjoy the journey, man. I mean, we're in New York City right now at Popl HQ. We got helicopters, planes, yachts, boats, beeping cabs all around us. The energy is crazy, right? Like right when we got here, we see 𝐂𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐤 walking out of your freaking spot, right? And just like the energy here is surreal, man. So just want to thank you so much for hopping on the Beige Mogul show, man.
Such a great convo.
Yeah, such a great convo, man. I see you as a great friend, brother, mentor. I'm so proud of and inspired by everything you've done.
Thank you.
So we'll leave a couple minutes for some audience questions then.
Cool.
So first question is, how did you come up with the name Popl?
Yeah, that's a good one. So we were Ripple first, like a ripple effect, right? Each people connect and it ripples out. And Ripple didn't have the best SEO. There's a milk company called Ripple and there's a cryptocurrency that's billions of dollars called Ripple. So we were like, we need a new name. And Popl came because it's like your information pops up on a screen. Also, Popl is like people, popular. It's very just like fun and with the times.
It's catchy.
It's catchy.
Like
Right? And also, no other company had branded that word, right? So it was ours. And so we got the domain, popl.co. And another funny piece of the story was that at first we were Popple, spelled that way. And my mom was like, drop the E. Why are you're Popl, right? With the E, which like could be read as Popl. So it was funny. My mom was the one who was like, just drop the E. And so we ended up dropping an extra P, an L, and the E to just Popl.
Simplify, right?
Exactly.
We started off as Beige Cashmere, which is not even relevant to media, and then to Beige Video, and then the app when we launch, it's going to be just Beige, right? So think Simplify. It's another great book. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Second question is, it sounds like you transitioned your product and your company from a younger market with social media to now a more business-oriented market. How did you lead your team through that?
Yes. So first off, over time. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up and it's like, oh, now we're adjusted. It's an overtime thing. And so I like to give clear announcements and explain to the team in a full setting where they can ask questions. Not only what the change is, but why you're doing it. You gotta explain the why. If you don't explain the why, people are like, okay, I understand the change, but like, why are we doing this change?
Yeah.
And it leaves kind of questions up for debate. You explain the why behind those moves, and it helps people see into your mind, into the vision, as to why this is better for not only me as an employee, but also for the company.
Wow. It's very well said.
And last question is, how do you feel you've grown as a leader, and what does leadership mean to you?
Wow.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Think about that one for a moment.
Yeah, so growing as a leader, I've been fortunate to now have a team of 55, 60 people. And I gotta say, the amount I've learned in leading a team of that size has been awesome to me. It's just so fulfilling. Like this being my first company, I'm learning along the way. And I've learned like, okay, this is the right way to handle someone's concern. This is the right way to break up two people that are not meshing well, right? Everyone's got different personalities. You got to manage all those.
Yeah.
And I've just, through being immersed in it, just learned so much about those little tips, tactics, etc. And it's been so fulfilling, just keeping everyone excited and motivated at the company. And so for me personally, growing as a leader, like I couldn't ask for a better position to be in.
Wow.
And to me, great leadership is building a team that is high performing. So everyone works hard and has great output, and they do it together, right? So they do it with a team mentality. It's not like I'm here on an island these other people work here, they all have salaries, but I feel disconnected. It's, no, we're high performing, but we're doing it together. And I really worked hard to make sure and cultivate a culture where everyone feels that.
In middle school, I was in my student body at Kawser Middle School in Inglewood, California, and on the back of our t-shirt, our slogan was, "A leader is one who shows the way, who knows the way, and who goes the way."
I like that.
And I feel like you've done all three, and it's amazing seeing how much you've grown as a leader, and that inspires me to just continue growing. And I'm sure for a lot of the entrepreneurs watching, leadership is one of the biggest challenges. So the fact that you've been able to navigate across these pivots and this growing team really shows the greatness that's been accomplished, but the best is yet to come. So
thank you. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that as a leader, you have so much responsibility, and you have to be able to manage stress well.
Yeah.
Like it's because if you, as the leader, if you're stressed out, imagine what everyone, like looking up to you feels.
Yeah.
So you always have to keep your composure. And level-headed.
Yeah.
And so I think that part of being a good leader is being able to manage that stress and be able to take the ups and downs and be like, no worries, we got this. This is what we're going to do next.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much once again, brother.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm excited for the output.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's get some B-roll and get out of here.